Today we're going to talk with Art LaFramboise. Art, born and raised in Nipigon, and became well known for his photography, especially of close-up with animals. And he's a real walker, so we thought we'd talk with him today about that. So Art, just give us the idea of how you went from working at the plywood mill, what happened, to ending up to be a photographer.
After the mill burnt down, it was it was like, what do we do? 50 plus years old, and really, it's really, what do you do?
Right.
So I laid on the couch for a couple of years, and finally decided that I can't do this anymore. It was too depressing. It was, and that's where I was. I was in a bad state of depression. And one day I woke up and said to my wife, Teresa, I says, well, I got to go out and buy a camera. It's a vision I had. And she says, there's no way we can afford it. I says, there's no way we can afford it. And from then on, it was 18 hours in the bush every day, learning how to use that camera. I had a camera before, but never to the extent that where I got to as good as I got.
Right.
And again, it was 18 hours every day learning how to use the camera and speed-wise and all that kind of stuff, and then learning the animals.
Right. So anyway, just to go back to the camera, because that first one was, you're having to have them developed, right? It wasn't, your first one wasn't digital, was it?
Back when I was younger, I used to do weddings and everything else, so I understood some of the camera, but
Oh, okay.
back in the teens, it was like, do I do photography, or do I was also a DJ back then, and so I took the DJ instead of the photography, because I loved DJing better than I did photography at the time.
Okay. Because practicing with the camera, with the digital, is a lot easier than practicing with the camera where you had to send the film away.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You could take multi millions of
Right.
pictures and thousands. I'll say thousands, because I did take thousands and thousands of pictures,
Yeah.
and just picked out finally. I got one good one finally today.
So tell us about, I remember you telling me that walking was good for your body as well.
Well, I got emphysema, so yeah, it's and my body is broken down bad because of the physical work we used to do at the mill.
Right.
And again, it was even my doctor said that I should have been on oxygen years ago, but because I still walk so much and keep my lungs in good shape, that because I used to walk, like I said, I used to walk sometimes 8 to 18 hours a day. It was nonstop. It was.
How did you choose where to walk to at, Art?
Just wherever I felt like walking today. It was, if I came to a fork, it would be, do I do left or right? There was no set walk
Okay,
or whatever
because you
else.
didn't always stick to the trails either.
No, I was in the bush lots.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm still a trail maker. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It's I still make trails
Right.
all over the place.
So just tell me a couple of trails that you made that are still well used by people.
Well, the Angel Trail is a good one.
Oh.
The Angel Trail is a really good one.
Tell where that is, because people who are watching this won't know.
Behind the cemetery, there's I made a trail that I just wanted to be in the bush, but be close to our ancestors, I guess I would say. But on a daily basis, I didn't want to go right to the grave sites and visit them, so I visit them in the bush, more or less, because my ancestors were from the bush.
Right.
And-
But there was a little trail there before, wasn't there?
No, it just went down. Well, yeah, but it only went partial way, because it
Isn't that
went
where
down to
Thompson's?
Thompson's.
Yeah,
Right, went down
okay.
to Thompson's cabins at the
Okay.
time.
So it starts at the front end corner there. And
Yep.
goes there.
Yep.
So how do you think it developed into the Angel Trail? Because it's quite popular.
I put a couple of angels up, and then all of a sudden it just got overwhelmed with angels.
Right.
I don't know how it actually got to that extent, but yeah, it's pretty amazing how many angels are on that trail.
So it goes from the cemetery to the road just down towards the bridge.
just by the bridge, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will admit, lots of people go on it because it's an easy walk.
It's flat.
It's flat.
It's-
It's in the bush,
Yeah.
and people enjoy that walk.
Yeah.
And then you can come out at the cemetery if you want.
Yeah,
there's
you can do a
couple
half walk.
places. Yes.
It's a half
Right.
walk, yeah.
And I know the kids like to go there because they could take the angel icons and put up or down. And
Yeah, yeah, and it was a learning thing for public school, especially public school, because they were so close that they went in there and then just had their learning sessions on tracks of the animals and all that kind of stuff, because we had the squirrels and the fox and
Right.
and everything in there. So
okay, and I just know in that area too was the bottles that had been buried because people bottle dig in there.
yeah, there was the old township garbage dump at one
Right.
time.
Right.
And it dates back to 1800s. So it's one of the oldest bottle digs that people could find. In
Right.
fact, I was one of the diggers at
And
at
I
one
was
time.
too.
Yeah.
Years ago, I went in there and I was so upset because there was all these Coke bottles broken,
Oh,
and Coke was a good popular bottle. Like there, it was smashed in there. But yeah, so I do know people still go on there.
They still go
Right.
down and take a look and see if they
Right.
can find anything. But
Right. So did you have something to do with the bald spot back trail or something there?
yeah, me and Jimmy made a couple of trails and back in there, and then it became a
Controversial.
controversial trail over the, especially over the bikes that were going up and down in there.
Oh, right.
And then we were worried as hikers and seniors that the bikes would take precedence over the seniors. So the seniors would have to get off the trail and the bikes would just zoom on through.
Right. Right.
And that was a big controversy there. So
They don't bike up there anymore that I know
no,
of.
no. In fact, I'm actually opening up the old bike trail that Mike Elliott made originally. It hasn't been used in probably 10 years. It's getting pretty brushed in, so I'm starting to brush it out, so it'll actually be a hiking trail, I'm hoping,
Right.
again.
Okay. Wow. So you and I know just from talking to you, of course, you're hiking everywhere, including across the river and down to the old mill area.
Yeah, yeah. I've made trails. In fact, I made a loop. It was called what was the name of the wood company out there at the time? Back in the 30s.
I don't know. Wood company where?
Across the river.
Oh, across the river.
Kellyos Pond. Kellyos.
Oh.
Kellyos
okay.
Pond. I made a loop in there because a lot of people can't do the 8-hour hikes or whatever that Jimmy used to try to tell everybody to go to. So
Right.
I made a little loop that actually went in and went to this one pond, which was gorgeous because it had all these water lilies. So just white and gorgeous
Right.
for a photographer especially.
Right.
And so I made a trail into there, and then I went and joined up with the other main trail. And again, that's one is another one that's well used again because the fact is it shows the beauty of our area.
Yeah. I liked the one from behind Billy Hills that went out through the bush to the power line too. That used to be a nice easy walk, that one.
Yep, yep.
And I haven't been on that for a long time, so I don't know if it's still there or not.
Oh, it's still there.
It still
Yeah,
is.
I maintain it.
Right? Oh.
Yeah, I maintain lots of trails still.
Yeah, there's lots of trails.
Yeah.
So when you went on out for the day, did you go with any specific thing in mind to take pictures of?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was like I said, it was a learning process when I first started. So you get in the shade, you have to change all your camera settings and everything else, and then when you come out in the sun and try to, especially with wildlife, it was a different story because you had seconds to try to set your camera in, and it was so again you had to learn how to be super fast and everything else. And then as time went by, I learned how to get close to the animals. It was something that I learned over time that.
Such as what kind of things?
Staying calm, letting them know that I'm one of them. I'm there for myself, not to go eat them or whatever else. It was, and again it was. I became one with nature. I think that's what it was.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they trust me, and again it was. They didn't have a problem with me being that close to them.
Right.
And that goes for bears and lynx and wolves
Right.
and fox and whatever else I came
Rabbits.
upon after a while.
Right. So you would come upon them unexpectedly, or you kind of knew where some of them might be?
A lot of times it was unexpected. It was just by chance that I came up to a lot of them, and it was actually nice because the fact is that that was what kept me motivated into doing what I was doing all the time.
Right. Yeah. Interesting to look. I know, to look at your photos of the animals, and some of them almost look like they're staring right at you or waiting for you to take a picture of them. They're
and that's funny you say that, because that's at the time that's what I thought is geez, you're posing for me.
Yeah.
Again. And again, it made me feel so good inside, because the fact is, coming out of depression, and we'll get back into the depression part after, but just the animals themselves made me feel so alive again, because I was one with them again.
Right.
We connected into a different world.
right.
Back into that depression stage, when I originally started taking photography, it was dark pictures. Everything was misty and foggy, and I didn't take a picture of anything with the sun shining down or anything. It was all just dark pictures.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the time of my transition that where I seen where I was at the time. It was really sad to see how bad I really was in my life.
So your soul was saved by photography.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It really did. It saved me 100%.
Right. So have you walked the trail to the Red Rock and taken pictures as well?
I used to do the Hike for Health.
Right. Okay.
Hike for Health I done for, I don't know, 10 years.
Right.
And then it just became it was too novelty then. It was just too common. That
Right.
yeah.
I remember you and I having conversation about that dam, beaver dam on the side of the trail there that was getting pretty full at one time, eh? And that trail changed a little bit.
Yeah. In fact, I was just up there again, and Mike Elliott is rerouting a lot of places where it's higher ground and drier. So again, it makes it for a better hike now.
Right.
There's some places you're not going to get any better than what they have on inclines or whatever else, but yeah, most of it is actually pretty good.
So is there wildlife on the trail from here to Red Rock?
Very little. There's a couple of small lynx in there right now, and rabbits, of course, but and that's what brings in the lynx is the rabbits and everything. In fact, the trail I'm cutting out right now is because I cut out so much willow and everything else that, and I just throw it off to the side. The rabbits are in there like crazy. Well, now it's bringing in the coyotes and the lynx.
Oh, cool. So where are you cutting now?
Just behind the ball spot on
behind
Mike
the
Elliott's.
ball spot,
Yeah,
right.
Mike Elliott had a bike trail in there, so I'm
Right.
brushing that out right now.
Right. Yeah.
And then it'll connect into Stillwater Trail, we call the Stillwater Loop, and everything else. So it's actually pretty nice that we can do the whole loop again.
So do you have a preference to any one wildlife that you liked and enjoyed taking pictures of?
Right now I'm hooked on my. This year was the blue herons and the loons. I really intensified my attempts on those guys. Next will be probably the moose, where I'm hoping to get some really nice moose pictures.
Okay.
I've got some really nice lynx pictures. I've got the wolves. I've got the fox and everything else. But there's certain animals that evade me still.
Okay. But the lynx aren't around like they were a few years ago. Remember that 1 or 2 years they were everywhere.
Yeah, they're not even close
they're not-
because the rabbit population it went into a bad decline.
Okay, so why don't we have deer either?
Deer, I think the coyotes and the wolves actually
Wow.
took them out.
I just remember the deer was so prevalent for a while. They were everywhere in town. And
Yep.
now we're not seeing any of them.
Yep. Anywhere I hike right now is I don't see any deer tracks. And that's sad because, like you said, we used to see the herds of them. Like you see 12 in a herd,
Oh, I know.
and now there's nothing.
Just in my backyard, there were 3 or 4 at a time.
Yep.
And so it's disappointing to see that those are gradually going. Wow. So when you're okay, so then you got into taking the photography, helping you out of your depression. How did you get the transition to open the shop?
Once I started getting good at really what I was doing, then I started looking at my pictures. And yes, I took thousands and thousands of pictures, but I never really looked at what I was doing. It was just throw them in the computer, and then one day I started going through them, and it was like, oh my God, I got to share. I really have to share these.
Right.
I really have to share some of these pictures that I've got. And so again, it was money was tight and everything else. And I told Teresa, I says, I have to open up a shop. And originally I opened up. I started in the basement, and because I had senior clientele, and they had to come down to my basement or whatever else. So that's what, and I told her, I said, that's a big liability that I don't want them to slip down the basement stairs or anything else. So it became an issue with us. And so I ran my shop sort of like out of the basement for a year or 2 years. And I told Teresa, I says, we can't do this anymore. I'm just too scared that someone's going to go tumbling down those steps. And so we started looking for buildings, and I got a tax sale on the building that I had originally. And when I went in there, it was like, oh, what did I do? Because it was so run down. It was just terrible.
Old.
Yeah, it was old, and
still is old.
Oh yeah, and it still is. Yeah. But again, it was an opportunity that when I sat down and looked and said, yeah, I can see my shop in here.
Right.
And then it was just, from then on, it was just my photography and business actually evolved into a very lucrative business. But again, it was, I just got tired of doing the sales. I lost a lot of my photography back then. Is because I was running a shop and not being a photographer anymore.
I remember you telling me that.
And that really hurt me again, was because the fact is I think I was starting to slide back into not a real state of depression, but I was becoming a business person. Well, it's weird to say that, but I didn't want to be a business person. I wanted to be an entrepreneur who still done his photography, but still could run a business at the same time. And I only ran from 12 to 4, but from that 12 to 4 was when you got me for the sales of my photography.
Right.
And then but as time went by, it got too big where I was working 12, 16 hours a day, because the fact is the product was I couldn't keep up with the product, and I didn't want to hire anybody because it was my dream. It was nobody else's dream but mine. So I just kept it small and or try to keep it small.
Because it was from the walk to the photo to the developing to the printing to framing.
Yeah. And I done it all myself.
Yes, so I mean
I done the whole process.
I could see that really evolved into a great big time consuming part of the business compared to being out in the bush.
Because a lot of my customers used to say, well, you only work 12 to 4. How hard can it be? Well, yeah, you only see me at 12 to 4 because that's when my shop is open. But I says, you don't see me downstairs in the basement getting all my frames ready. And in fact, that's why I got rid of glass and pictures, photo paper and everything else. Because the fact is, it was too time consuming. Because the fact is, people wanted me to, we'd sit down and do the matting and everything else, and it would be sad, because the fact is, it would end up that they put more emphasis on the matting and colors and everything else, but then we forgot about the photography. So then it was all of a sudden, it was, okay, we're not doing this anymore. It just...
Okay, we'll leave it there while she resets the camera. And I can remember, so I can't remember though how you got your frames. Did you buy frames? You made frames?
No, I went through a photo place, or a frame place in Thunder Bay. Can't remember the name of the place, but anyways, they gave me 20 special frames that were just unique to me.
Oh, okay.
So it was nice, because the fact is, especially some of my native, like when I done the native paintings and that in these big frames or whatever else, I was unique to those, because the fact is that's what they give me for my own use.
Right. So tell me a little bit about how you got involved in taking photos for passports. You had family photos, but then you were one of those people that people were coming to for passport pictures.
Passport and PAL were it was just a thing, and it was funny because people used to come in and say, "Do you take passport pictures? Do you take PAL pictures?" No, I'm sorry, I don't do them. And so I says, "We can try," but I didn't know any of the dimensions or anything else. So I used to take pictures, and again, it was we'd have the flash in the background, and they were too big, and so once I again learned that I need a white background and all that kind of stuff, and because I got denied so much at first. It was almost everybody that I put in was denied because the fact is it was too big, too small. There were shadows. There was, because I tried taking
Right.
without the flasher, and then you had the flash, and it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it was that's what, and then once I learned in fact, I went to the passport office and said I need dimensions because I want to do passport pictures. So they give me all the dimensions and everything else, and they give me templates and everything else to actually do the photography for the
Right.
passports and everything else.
Because it is inconvenient for some people to run to Thunder Bay and get a picture taken, where it was good because you were here.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then people could get them done.
And it was funny because everybody says you're way too cheap. Well, I only printed out 2 little pictures as far as I was concerned, and I only charged them $10, I think it was, whatever else. Whereas Thunder Bay was charging them 25.
Yeah.
And you still had to go up there and
Yeah.
get them done.
Yeah.
Like, because everybody, I says I can't justify charging $25. I just can't justify
Right.
paying that much for 2 little pictures. I just couldn't see that.
So you also did family pictures.
Yeah, I done family pictures and weddings again, and again, I went, see, a lot of people didn't see that. I went all the way down to Wawa, Schreiber, Geraldton, Dryden, Thunder Bay. I went to a lot of places where people didn't even know that I did this kind of stuff on the weekends.
Oh, no.
So again, those weekends were all gone because the fact is and then I had to, and it was sad because I won't say it's sad, but I used to take so many pictures of the wedding because the fact is I didn't want to miss a picture. Because most brides are pretty particular at what they wanted.
Yeah.
So I made sure that I covered everything that they wanted.
Right.
And they were, most times, most people were pleased. And again, I didn't charge $1 million for what I did.
Right. So different size and styles and everything. Now a little bit about the bridge pictures, how you got involved in the bridge. This is the new Nipigon Bridge I'm talking about. But
The new bridge, when it went, when they showed the
plan.
the plans and everything else, it was like, oh my good gracious, I got to see this. And it's funny because I still have old pictures of the old bridge or whatever else, and I thought they were fairly nice. But when this new bridge went up, it was just seeing the process getting started and tearing down of the old bridge and seeing the structures and these big cranes and everything else. It was just like, oh wow. So again, I just became so absorbed into what I was doing that it was my main priority was to see the process of the bridge building.
And I mean, I've got 1/10 of the number you have, and yet when I look at the files, I got folder after folder of the bridge.
Oh yeah.
But I have never got them in the right consequence.
Yeah.
But you must have thousands of them.
Thousands and thousands. Because in fact, it was nice because I'm probably one of the only ones that ever got a contract as big as I did for any project in this area. Because in fact, I'm not saying how much I got, but again, it was bought that got a hold of me and said, I hear you have some beautiful photography, and then we negotiated pricing and everything else.
That was good though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because you're there every day going by and able to keep it as it went.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Because I got thrown off before they contacted me. I got thrown off that site 20 times. So I don't know how many times they threw me off the site because I was there all the time. It was, and one of the foremen come up and say, "Get out of here!"
Yeah, right. No, I mean, you got the history of the building of the bridge, which is an amazing thing in itself.
Yeah, originally I was going to do a book.
Right, I remember you talking about
but then my researcher and everything else backed out on me. So then that put the kibosh on.
you could still do it in later times, looking back at the building of the bridge.
No, because I done even the CN line. I done exactly the same thing. I done the closing of the CN line with the last train and everything else. So again, it was, I've documented some of the history from here.
Right.
But again, it was. I think I started too late. I wish I would have done that, like say the woods department shutting like the wood.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wish I would have done that, and then I could have kept on with all the documentary of
Right.
all the shutdowns of all our industries and.
But in
and
some of that, you were still working in some of that case.
Yeah,
So
I was,
it's not
yeah.
as easy to do.
But again, even at the mill, I was still doing DJ,
right.
and then plus I was photographer.
Right.
So again, it was yeah. I lived a busy life at one time, and like I said, then when the mill went down, it was like, oh, what now? What do I do? Because I was working 7 days a week. Like the overtime was always there, so you could work whenever you chose to, and it was like, oh, now what do we do?
Okay, so one of your most famous pictures is the holiday train going across the bridge, and you can tell stories about taking those pictures.
Well, it was funny because 2 weeks before the holiday train came through, I went probably a month. But again, it was. I went and cleared out a spot for myself to take these pictures and visualize where the train would look best on. And it was funny because I went down there at 5 o'clock in the evening, getting ready for 6 o'clock, or I got there about 5:15. And lo and behold, someone stole my spot. And it was the guy for the CP rail that
Chris Wilson?
I can't remember his
Oh.
name, but I was so disappointed. And I says, just to let you know, you stole my spot, buddy. He says, oh, you snooze, you lose. And again, that was, I could have been a real.
Yeah.
But again, it was. So I went up on top and cleared out a couple of brushes where I could actually get the reflection of the bridge and everything else.
Right.
So again, it was, yeah.
Very, very nice picture, that one. And it got lots of publicity
Yeah.
for that. Just the train itself coming across there. When it came before, nobody ever took a picture of it.
No,
I mean,
because
look how many years it came, and there was never any pictures crossing the bridge.
yeah, which is sad because, well, I think because of the blue lights and everything of the new bridge.
Maybe.
I think that's what it was our new bridge was such an attraction, just in itself.
Right.
Because I have like millions or thousands of pictures of the bridge at night with the blue and say now today is because the fact is I think all those lights have moved or whatever else that it's not the same effect now as it was when it first when it first was lit up.
Interesting. Okay, change of topic again. Tell me how you got into the kids' fish derby.
Kids fish derby.
Now you told me that was to do with your kids fishing.
It all started with probably my kids and whatever else. But again, it was after the mill went down, and I seen how everybody. Because at one time we were all a big family. I thought we were a big family. It felt like we were a big family, even in the whole town. We felt like a big family because we were a mill town.
Right.
We had lots in common. But when the mill went down, it was like, oh my, everybody was going this way and that way, and again, it was there was no family anymore. So I thought, well, geez, how about we do a kids derby and try to make a family event again, and that's what I think my vision was at the time, and it became it was. In fact, we were overwhelmed the first year because we didn't think we were going to get the number of. We thought we were going to get 30 or 40 kids, not 100 and something, whatever it was. It was like, oh,
I know.
yeah. So again, it was nice because the donators that donated made it possible.
Right.
That was the bottom line. Is and don't get me wrong, I ran all over the place to get donations. I walked all the way to Stillwater and back. And all the way to the reserve and back, and then I went to Dorian and canvassed them, and wherever I had to go to see if I'd get funds.
Right.
And then one of the bigger contributors was Cops, Kids, and Canadian Tire. It was a program that they actually give us rods and reels and then they give us all the loot bags. We had so they give us 100 loot bags every year where it would involve whether it be candy or fishing tackle or whatever else. And then we just fill them up with little bouncy balls or whatever else. So again, it was
And you had good volunteers.
Yeah, dedicated volunteers.
Right.
They would come out every year, and we were just a small group because the fact is we didn't want to. Again, we tried to make it big, but the volunteers at the time were just not there. It was sad to say. We tried a treasure hunt and it didn't go over. We tried a bike, a couple of years we tried bike decoration and it just didn't go over. And it was like, because the kids were there to fish.
Right.
And so I think that's what our vision was at the end, was just,
Right.
and it was unfortunate that when they took the break wall out that the perch just disappeared. So again, it was like, well, what are we fishing for now? Because nobody's catching anything.
No.
It was sad to see it, because we used to catch hundreds and hundreds of
I
perch.
know.
Oh my good gracious. And everybody used to just have so much fun.
Yeah.
And-
It was a great day.
Oh yeah.
It really was a great
Yep,
day.
yep.
It was, because you're right, the kids came, and the kids didn't come from just Nipigon. The
Well,
kids
yeah.
came from everywhere
Yep.
to go in the fish derby.
Yep.
Right. Oh, it was a well-run event, and you did a lot of work again on that. So all this time you're doing all these things, you must have the support of Teresa behind you. She must have shook her head some days.
Oh yeah. Well, she was, because she was still working too, and again it was. So finally, she put the foot down on certain things and said, "We can't do this anymore. We can't do this anymore. We can't." Well, you don't have to be part of the like really. It was
Right.
it was. So and again, I was behind the scenes on a lot of the fall fishing festival, the
Oh,
blueberry
you were
blast.
taking pictures all the time for those places.
Yeah, and again, see, I was behind the scenes on lots of, even for volunteerism or whatever else.
Right.
Because I didn't sit on any committees or anything else, which I didn't want to take my valuable time and say, oh, well, I got to go sit on a meeting that
Right.
sometimes didn't mean anything to us. So again, it was,
Right.
so I just was behind the scenes where I'd help with tables and chairs and whatever else they had to do.
But you were the photographer for the hockey awards and for the fishing festival awards, and you
Yeah.
were photographer for all of those too. So you've got a wealth of photos somewhere.
Oh,
Are they-
yeah.
Are they
Oh, yeah.
cataloged?
Most of them are. Most of them are because I've got. It's weird to say this. I got external drives. I probably got 4 external drives, and these are gigabytes, not.
Same here.
Yeah. So we know exactly where we are.
Yeah.
And yeah. And that's thousands and thousands, and they're all good pictures. There, because
Yeah.
anything that wasn't any good, it gets thrown out. As far as I'm concerned, it's.
Where I keep the old ones too, because sometimes that's the only bit of that person that I have. So I keep that old photo, and it might be blurry, but it to means something to somebody, because I didn't get them in a good picture. But you're right.
Yeah.
Your pictures were excellent. Yeah.
See, and one other thing we forgot about was the 100th year. One of my iconic pictures was the
Right.
100 from
Right.
up at the ball spot.
I just put that on my Facebook folder last week, because I said to Herman, I can't remember who took that picture. I can't remember, was it John Potoff or Maggie? And it was you, because I remember John took a couple from up there as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're right, the 100th anniversary was a major one, because we had all those people.
Yeah,
all the
and
time.
I done the whole week or 2 weeks or whatever we had of
Yeah.
photography for, and again it was nice because all these people came back to town and met as families and everything else.
Right.
So I took a lot of family portraits and everything else
Right.
that are in the archives. I'm grateful they are in the archives, because the fact is, people can come up and say, I remember you taking our picture. Can you actually bring? And I'd have to remember the dates and everything else. But again, it was.
I get that every week, and I can't find some of them, but and that's one of my downfalls. And I compare myself to E.C. Everett with his pictures.
Yep.
No names.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think I'm going to remember who they are, but then I look at them now, and that's my disappointment, is that I wasn't able to somehow put names with every photo. So I'm sure there's going to be lots that you've got.
Well, yeah, where I don't even know who they are
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
It's because I used to just take pictures randomly. It was
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it
So
was.
that's the sad part about the history pictures, I think, is that we've all got them, but we're not sure who's in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even the Fall Fishing Festival, I used to go around and do the vendors, and then I
Yeah.
used to do all the people that were just randomly walking around and take pictures of them. At not knowing when their pictures were being taken.
Right.
And that's, to me, that's I was a naturalist. I was still at
Yeah.
that taking, you know, not pose pictures or whatever
Right.
else, and that's what I kind of like doing.
Yeah, yeah. No, the photos are real history for sure, and it's sad really that this generation doesn't see the hard copy.
Yeah,
The generation of kids today. I'm doing a piece at George O'Neill on Friday to take picture albums for the kids to look at.
Yep.
Because the teacher said there are no picture albums. These kids don't have them in their homes. Everybody's got the pictures on their phone.
on their phone. Yep.
And
Yep.
so that's one thing about your pictures of all the wildlife. They know, wow, Baggy actually got right up beside that lynx and took that picture. And kids don't understand that, I don't think. They think it's only on the phone. They got no idea that it was hard copy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's what the difference is too now. Is
I do too.
because of the media that we have now. It's
Right.
or the
Yeah.
medium or whatever you want to call it. It's
So I mean, if some people come in here, and when Kirsten and I are doing interviews, people will come in who have never been in here before, and that's one thing they do, walk around. Oh, I know who that is. I know who that is, and they're talking about those hard copy pictures that they see.
yeah.
So it's amazing that you were able to do that. But I mean, your photography experience is so varied. Oh, you just covered everything. So are you still taking pictures?
Yes. It's almost impossible to give up.
I know.
And there are days when I because I'm getting so crippled now because I'm aging. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of times I can't carry my big lens. So I again I got to pick and choose when I take pictures now.
Right.
It's especially with my big lens.
Right.
For my small lens, I can still go out and do nature and natural or landscapes, but for the wildlife, it's a different story.
You still got a few years, so you can still keep taking pictures, Art.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
As long as
That's
I can.
good. Okay, thank you.